Okay, thanks, Monene, and welcome everybody to tonight's edition of Cold Water Capers, brought to you by the Cape Long Distance Swimming Association. The CLDSA is an organization that promotes, records, and supports long-distance swimming in the Cape, long distance being swims greater than 7.4 kilometers. The organization is over 50 years old, and our records include over 3,000 successful swims. Thanks to you all for attending. We have a diverse audience of members and non-members here. For those who aren't members, a reminder, membership is just 300 Rand. Sign up on the website, www.cldsa.co.za, and get complimentary tickets to the talks, discounted coaching, and officiation of your swims, amongst other benefits and perks. In this series, we talk to icons of Cape long distance swimming. How did they start? What inspires them? And what cold water anecdotes do they have to share with us? Tonight, we're planning a 30-minute discussion followed by a question and answer session at the end. Most of you will be familiar with this format. Please ask your questions in the comments section. Keep them short if you can. I may not be able to get to all of the questions, but I'll do my best to get through as many as I can. The guest today is a swimming legend in the Western Cape. This year, he became the second South African to conquer the Ocean 7. That is a group of 7 channel crossings scattered around the world, collectively known as one of open water swimming's greatest challenges. To date, only 26 others have achieved this, and it includes South Africans, Cameron Bellamy, and very recently, they've been joined by Kieran Palfreman. But today we paid tribute to Stellenbosch-based Herman van der Westhuizen, although I think he's not in Stellenbosch today, who earlier this year became the 24th person to achieve this feat. Today we'll be unpacking the Ocean 7 and also paying tribute to Herman's remarkable feat and finding out a few of his anecdotes as he went over 11 years, I think it was, in total, trying to complete this amazing task of swimming the Ocean 7. So welcome, Herman. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Hello to everybody.
You have some great accolades in South Africa, but today we'll be looking at your focused further afield. I want to also, as I do with most of the guests, find out a little bit about where it started. But I think we'll just start with, I'm just going to share my screen here and have a look at what the Ocean 7 entails. So if you just bear with me. Yeah, here we go. All right. Okay, I hope you can see the screen. Okay, so we're going to look at what the Ocean 7 entails, and you may be able to help me through this a little bit, Herman. So I think everybody knows the English Channel. It's the most popular one, the most famous one, and a lot has been written about it over the years and has had a lot of people who've actually completed it. And so I think this is the one where you started out in 2012. And this one is the one that, if I'm not mistaken, where people mostly start out, unless they're like Tony, who's, I think Tony, you started with the Straits of Gibraltar. But yeah, so Herman, that's the one that entices you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously on the British Isles there, you've also got the North Channel, which we'll look at in a little bit more detail, but that's between Ireland and Scotland. And then just south of that, you've got in the Mediterranean, the Straits of Gibraltar, which is the shortest of the 7. And then the far east, you've got you've got the Tsugaru Channel, which is in Japan, quite tough and treacherous at times. And down south there, you've got the Cook Strait, which is basically that piece of water that splits the North and the South Island of New Zealand. Then from the state side, you've actually got two. You've got the Catalina Channel, which is a little island just off Los Angeles, and you basically swim to the suburbs of Los Angeles from the island. And then the longest of all is the Molokai Channel, which is part of the is basically swimming between two islands of the Hawaii state. So that's the seven straits and channels that make up the Ocean 7. Okay, so all right, Herman. So before we get to your first one that you did, I just want to know a little bit more about you. You know, did you grow up next to the sea, swimming from knee-high right up to doing your first Robben Island, or did you take to swimming a lot later in life?
I grew up in a town called Palabora on the border of the Kruger National Park. So there you can swim in the pool, but if you swim in the river or open water, a crocodile will eat you. So I never heard about open water swimming until I've heard about these crazy guys in Cape Town that swim to Robben Islands. I guess that's where it all started. I think I did my first Robben Island in 2007. But that's quite a few years ago, and done a couple since then, mostly for training purposes. And I must add, I mean, I think most of you have swum the Robben Island often. It always amazes me that it's always a different swim, although it's only 8 Ks at max. It's quite a nice thing to do a lot of the time. So from then, actually, Roger Finch, if I think about it now, he swam the English Channel somewhere around 2010. And then when he swam it, he told me if I train hard, it might be possible to swim it. So that's what I did. I trained quite hard at that time in my life, and then did the English Channel in 2012. Then you can see there's 5 years that nothing happened. And then, you know how life goes. You work and you have to balance life and family and things. But then something starts to scratch. And then I heard about a bunch of guys called the Mad Swimmers, and I joined them on the highest swim in the world record at that time in 2016. And after that, we did another few ice swims and things like that, and then I met some other guys that's organizing the North Sea Channel swim. That's organizing that specifically the North Channel swim between Scotland and Ireland. And I thought, okay, maybe I must try this one since I just completed the World Ice Swimming Championships in Germany. And they convinced me to do it. And then eventually in 6 July 2007, it happened. But that was for me, you know, if I think about the North Channel swim, it's still like a trauma that happened in my life. I never expected to be so far and so cold. And after the English Channel, you know, it really rattled my bones a bit. So when it took me another 2 years again to swim something else. But in that period.
So sorry, just if I just jump in there. So and we'll get into details about each of these great swims and what it all entails. But you know, so you heard about the North Channel through ice swimming and through some Irish individuals who were close to the swim. Were you thinking already at that stage, Ocean 7? I've started this journey. We can do it, or are you just thinking, oh no, there's another swim, which is a big challenge? Was Ocean 7 already being thought of at that stage from your side?
Yeah, I thought about the Ocean 7 because I met somebody else, Kim Chambers, who became the second woman to do it, and she sort of convinced me that it's possible. But I always thought maybe let's try this one. I never thought it's possible to do all 7 because, you know, I'm working and I've got family, and I'm not a professional athlete. So at that stage, to answer you, I thought I'll do it, and with an Ocean 7 in mind, but I never thought I will ever get there.
Okay. Okay. So it's just like focus on your next one, and then don't think about the rest.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of how it all started. Let's just jump in to each of these swims. I've got some slides up here. So I think the elation. I am a channel swimmer is obviously something. This presumably was your longest swim that you had done when you did it. You had at this stage you'd done a few Robben Islands. You obviously would have been training quite hard, but was this at 34 Ks? Was this the longest swim that you had done?
Yes, by far. I remember when I crossed the shipping lane, I thought, gee whiz, I've never done this before. So, it's a funny feeling when you're getting halfway and you're tired and you think it's still halfway to go. And I mean, the guys that have done it, most of you have done big swims. Your first big swim, you start with it like 1,000 or 2,000 meter in a pool, and when you reach 5,000, it's long. And then when you do a Robben Island, it's super long. And then when you do a double Robben Island, it's super, super long. And so it goes on. So when you get halfway in the English Channel, there's still at least a double Robben Island left. So, yeah, I remember the English Channel. That's the first real long swim, and it always leaves the impression of the first one. So, that first moved the edge of, I think, what your mind thinks is possible.
Yeah, so you completed in 2012. I see today there's about 2,400 solo swimmers who've completed it. Obviously, there's quite a lot of people doing relays these days. Sorry, the 2,400 is part of both officiating groups that are there. But there's a lot of relays, but there is no relays for the Ocean 7. It's all solo swimming, right? And it's no wetsuits either. It's costume and goggles and cap, right? That's the routine. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So 34 Ks. The water temperature, I've actually listed this for each of the swims, so you sort of get an idea. 15 to 18, I think that's sort of the range that we often hear. So it's for those who are used to Cape Town and Clifton and Big Bay and all that sort of temperature feels quite comfortable. But I think when you've been swimming, I think you took 11 hours for this. I think you presumably can get a bit of cold, even if you're used to a much colder temperature for a shorter distance.
Yeah, no, for sure. Even 18 degrees, if you stay in 18 degrees for like 11, 12 hours, depending on your stroke rate and your feed, it does get cold, even at 18 degrees after 12 hours.
Yeah, and then we're going to go through them a little bit, and I think Gibraltar we're leaving to the end, but you and I had an offline chat a few weeks ago, and I sort of asked you about this because some of us are pretty average swimmers. Put my hand up for that. But I've always thought, well, sure. I've seen certain people who've completed an English Channel, and I've seen the times that they've taken and all that. And I think, sure, if I can endure the cold and if I train enough, it's within me. But I think some of the swims are definitely not within me. I think some of them seem to be really hard, really exposed to the elements and currents and all that. And you've got to have good strength and good speed to actually be able to or a lot of luck to actually be able to complete them. Would you agree with that summary?
Yeah, the thing is with the channels, it was selected because there's mostly currents in most of the channels. And what I do see is that the skippers, even in the last 10 years that I've been doing it, the skippers are getting very good at going at the right times. But at the same time, because there's so many swimmers, they will also take you to make money when the currents are not 100% favorable. So that's the two views. I think if the conditions are perfect, a swimmer that can average like 3 Ks an hour can actually do most of the channels. But current the typical current, the weak currents goes like 1.2, 1.5 knots, which is close to 3 k's an hour. And then the real strong currents goes to 3 knots. At 3 knots, you need to do 5 k's an hour to beat it. But I've only once got into a 5 kilometer per hour current, and that is in the Tsugaru. But coming back to the question, if the conditions are perfect, any swimmer that trains hard enough and that is willing to go for it can do it most of the channels on a perfect day.
Because I notice, you know, when you follow the sort of English Channel season, you notice the sort of general, you know, the sort of route that people take with the currents, and then obviously there's a few real quick guys that they put in, or ladies that they put in, and they get the best conditions when it's a neap tide or whatever, and there's very little difference. So yeah, I can imagine that, you know, the conditions can vary greatly from the time of the month, or indeed the swell and the currents that are running. Okay, all right. So that's the English Channel, and then 5 years later we move over to the North Channel. You've given a little bit of an introduction to it. There's a map in the corner, so the top in the bottom left, there's a map there. You can see where it is on the British Isles and Ireland, the island of Ireland, Northern Ireland. And then you can see there's the North Channel. And I haven't given details around the towns and all that sort of thing, but this, I understand, is fraught with so many challenges, whether it's the big line main jellyfish, whether it's the currents and tides. And I looked up the number of people who've completed it, and to date it's only about 130. And I think the first one was done in the 1940s or something. But yeah, very cold, jellies, currents and tides all being difficult. And it's the same distance as the English Channel. The difference is it's about 4 degrees colder. So yeah, I think even those of us who do a bit of ice swimming from time to time, that is a severe challenge. What temperature was it when you did it?
Yeah, I started in 11, and I think the warmest that it got for the day was 13.5. You know, so just to give you a bit of the background here, before I went on this channel, I could do like 4 hours at Camps Bay in 10 or 10, 12 degrees. What's Camps Bay? 12 degrees probably, without a problem. But I remember the morning when I got called to the harbor to meet the guys, there was like a wind blowing, and the sea, you know, the sea level there is similar to the English Channel. It rises by about 5 meters. Yeah. The difference between low tide and high tide, and all the boats were empty in the harbor, but it was super, super, super cold. And you know, sometimes I just want to, for this one and for the Tsugaru one, the other one, and maybe why I thought she was, why on earth that I tried to do this. And then on the morning of the swim, which eventually happened, there was like the boat that was supposed to take us was broken, so we had to go on a rubber duck. I had 2 supporters as 2 crew on that day. It was my oldest daughter Herman and a friend of mine, Carl. So the first thing that I thought that morning was, there's no toilet on the boat. What's my daughter gonna do the whole day? But in any case, there's all these funny thoughts that go through your mind. And my test swim, the day 2 days before I swam, when I got into the water, I felt like I'm swimming through jelly. That's how many jellyfishes there were. But it's not, you know, these little gray ones. They don't sting at all. But it's just really weird to swim in a school of jellyfish. I don't know who's done it before. And then so the swim happened, and when I got in that morning, after 20 minutes, I said to the guys on the boat, it's not possible. I can't do it. And then they said, give me another, let's just swim to another feed and we'll get you out. And at another feed, they told me, let's just do 1 more feed. So I did that for 12.5 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, but that swim really, I will never swim in the North Channel again. That was too hard for me.
So a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Right. No, fascinating. Okay, we'll move over to Catalina, if that's the one that you did next. You can see Catalina Island there, and then the swim. I think it's to Long Beach, or it's part of Los Angeles. It's about 32 kilometers, so slightly shorter than the English Channel, and then about the same temperature, if not a little bit warmer than the English Channel. Lots of great stories, lots written about this swim. Actually, if you read up on it, and it's part of the Triple Crown, which we'll get to later on. But the English Channel is one part of the Triple Crown, and then Catalina is the second, and the third being Manhattan, which isn't part of the Ocean 7, but is part of the Triple Crown. So yeah, I mean, you're now 2 down on the Triple Crown. Is that correct?
US, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the Manhattan swim. Maybe Kat can tell us a little bit about that. But yeah, this swim itself, was it? How was this one for you?
People ask me about my swim. So when I said, what I always say is I had four extremely difficult ones, 2 difficult ones, and 1 easy one. So this one, what I liked about this, the boats are quite big, and it's quite luxurious. There's like 10 people on the boat, and there's a kitchen, and they cater for you, and they've got 2 kayakers with you in the water. So everything is quite lacquer on this swim in terms of support. The swim itself, there's sharks where you start on I think I started on exactly where you show now, then on that point. But I didn't see any sharks, or there was no sea life that really bothered me on this one. The only thing that happened with these swims, you can get a reverse current somewhere 2/3 through the channel. It happens in about 1 in 10 swims, so I got that. So I say I had a couple of 6 of my swims were difficult, and then right at the end, the temperature drops from a pleasant 18, 19 degrees straight down to 14 degrees for the last like 5 kilometers for whatever reason it is.
Sure.
So did I find it difficult? This swim for me, I started in the night, and it was just after my first Sugaro attempt. My first Sugaro attempt really went bad about 800 meters from the side, and because I found it out later, that I was nearly drowning, and I was very close to a heart attack. The reason what happened, I think, is that I was taking anti-inflammatories towards the end. That was about 13 hours into a swim, which really affects your heart. So what happens when you swim and you become short of breath and you can't treat water and you can't get air in your lungs? That is a pure sign. That I found it out later, so that's why I can tell you guys now. So what happens is you become extremely short of breath. You can virtually do like 2 or 3 strokes and you have to stop. And then what happened, I'm talking about the Tsugaru before this one now, and then I couldn't stay afloat, and that was a very, very scary feeling in the night. So luckily my wife that night saved my life. But after that, a year later, that is when I did this swim, and I also started in the night. And I must admit, this for me, I called the write-up that I did about this particular swim, getting the monkey off my back. And then for me, it was really to trust my body again in these open water swims. Because if something happens to you in the sea, although you're close to the boat, I mean, it's you in the water, the person on the boat. That's why people drown and they die on some of these swims. First of all, you don't realize what's going on in your body, and secondly, you look like you're swimming, and the next moment you're drowning. I mean, Ryan Strongwood is one of the guys that can tell you the same story. So coming back, that was my getting the monkey off my back to at least be able to swim again.
Yeah, I mean, but you had the North Channel, then you went to Tsugaru. Sure, you had 2 awful swims, and then to come here, obviously there's I don't say post-traumatic stress disorder, but perhaps something similar. So well done for getting the monkey off your back. Okay, so I'm going to run through. We've got obviously the last 4 to go, but in the meantime, I just urge those who have any questions for Herman, please go to the chat section and type in there, and we'll get to them a little bit later in the next few minutes. Okay, so then Tsugaru, you talked about the first failure, but the second swim is you had success, and that was in August 2019. So Tsugaru, lots shorter, 19.5 kilometers. You can see there, it's up in the top of Japan, between Haikido and I can't remember which other island it is, but it's right up there. And yeah, I see warmer water, busy shipping lanes, but strong currents and big swells. So I know a lot of swimmers have found this very difficult. I think logistically, there's also been talks in the last few months about the swim logistically, trying to get boats and all that, organized boats, and being charged too much, and putting down all your money and then it being cancelled and all that sort of thing. There's been a lot of discussion around so level of professionalism that's needed within this space. But I mean, I think with a lot of these swims, these boats are often fishing boats that then become swimming boats, and then if they're not fishing, then they're losing out on their fish catch, for example. So lots written about that. Some on one side say perhaps Tsugaru shouldn't be one of the Ocean 7, and others saying perhaps there should be. No, it definitely owns. It definitely deserves its place. It just needs a lot more work to make sure that it's a little bit more professionally run. Do you have any input on that front, Herman?
Yeah, look, the Tsugaru, the shortest route is 19.5 k's, but then you need to cross the current straight. You need to look for the perfect condition and hit it. So most of the swimmers, they go all the way further towards China, towards Europe, and then they take a longer route, which is about 33 k. So when the current is a very strong surge coming from the China Sea, North China Sea,
yeah.
On the left-hand side of that circle that pushes through that channel, and that current is completely unpredictable, and it slows down for about 12 hours on neap tide, and then it picks up again. So you never get a reverse current. You always get a strong current pushing from left to right if you look at the circle where it is. So the problem is, so there, for the first time, I saw a current that's going so fast it looks like you're moving on a SUP or something, very close to the north side of Hokkaido. So what the people do is they try to start on the left-hand side of the circle at the bottom, and they will first go northwest, and then slowly let the current bring them back towards Hokkaido, and then we hope to hit that point that you see there. So, but if you miss the point, immediately the land drops past you, and your distance to the land, every 10 minutes that you stay in the water, you can add another kilometer to your swim, basically, because of the fast current. So what happened to me the first time, I went on a stormy day, started about 4 in the morning, but we couldn't even get to the side. So I got lost at the start for about 30 minutes, and eventually the boat found me, and so the swim started 30 minutes after I nearly drowned. Not really drowned, but a rough sea. I thought I had to touch the rocks, and it was just too difficult to get in. But in any case, so the swim happened, and by the night at around 9 o'clock, the bad thing happened that I mentioned before, and it was like 800 meters from the side, and I just had to quit at that point. Coming back to your question about whether this swim should be on the list of the Ocean 7, I mean, you can probably put any 7 big channel swims in the world on the Ocean 7, but I think the Ocean 7 has got a brand name now, and they shouldn't try and change it, because otherwise it's going to be another Ocean 7 and another Ocean 7, similar to the boxing world, where you've got the WBO and the WBC and all those things. So it just becomes confusing, and you lose the whole thing of the Ocean 7. So coming back to Tsugaru, for me, it is the wildest place to do this swim because of language barriers. Nowadays, I hear there's a regulation that they don't want swimmers to go in the night. So if you can't go in the night, you're already limited to maybe, I would say, seven windows in a season. So, with a lineup of maybe 30 or 40, 50 people that want to do it, it virtually becomes impossible to do this channel. And that is up the restrictions. So the restrictions to swim it in daytime only has been laid down apparently by the I don't know, the Coast Guard or whatever, because it becomes so dangerous. But again, most of the other seas are dangerous, and it's, you know, the captains develop with time. But on this particular strait, it's only the fishing boats again. And we had that bad experience, I think 6 months before my swim, where a boat got capsized and one person drowned and another one got hurt badly. And now they will go with 2 boats. So that's why this channel has become so expensive. I think it's for the day, it's about 100,000 Rand. But yeah, so to whether to take it out, I don't think so, because just purely of the adventurous side of it, maybe it needs a little bit more regulation and open it up for night swim. So you need a professional outfit there that is more swimmer orientated, because the captains will go, but because they don't, you know, they'll turn you straight into a current when they see you go off course. And if you tired, even a good swimmer, they will go down to like maybe 3.5, 4 kilometers per hour, and that was what they can do at that point in time after 8 hours in the water. So if you turn into a current, that's the wrong way. You'll stay there and you'll just use up your energy and quit. The right way to get through currents is you must the guys on the boat must be super clever. They must check when the current's slack, and then you steal a little bit. They call it crabbing. So you keep crossing the current at like a 30 degrees, so that the current, you win in the current, but very little, and then when the current slacks, you go for it.
All right. Well, moving on from, thanks for all that. Moving on to now Molokai, or the Kaiwi Channel. The long one. This is the long one. This is the one where there's lots of sharks, apparently, jellies. I think you saw a shark, did you not? On your swim, but yeah, warmer water, big swells, and then it looks like a little more than 100 have only been successful in this swim. So yeah, September 2022. Take us back. What was this swim like?
This is the first swim where you have to fly to the starting point. It's virtually impossible nowadays to go with a boat, because you'll go straight into the wind on a big chop, and by the time you get there, it takes about 8 hours for the boat to get over. You're so tired, and then you have to get in the water and swim back for anything between 12 and 22 hours, like what happened to Kyron. Yeah, so you fly over, and then you realize how far it is. So that's the first thing I can remember of the Molokai. And the day before, again, you know, these ocean swimmers, the one person that they must say thank you for their whole lives are the crew on the boat. So this was another time where my wife went with me, completely out of her comfort zone, you know. And the day before, we went on a tour around the island, and when we got to, I call it Sandy Beach. If you look on the top picture there, where that below the wing of that aeroplane, that is that white little speck that you see on the right-hand side of the island. That's where you can land. That's one of the landing spots over there, yeah, under where that white, that is Sandy Beach. Sometimes you aim for the further corner, but then you take a chance that the currents will wash you off the island. But in any case, so we went down to Sandy Beach, and when I saw the smells, I said to my wife, "This is impossible. I can't do this." And then I had you know, sometimes your wife is the one that gives you direction in life. So he gave me a proper speech that day and told me why I'm here and what I have to do, and I'll do that. And then I decided, okay, let me rather keep quiet and do it. So on the day of the swim, I just took you know, sometimes in life things align for you, sometimes they don't. On this particular swim, I call it the one where all my stars align. So when I got into the water, I decided I'm never going to complain. I'm always going to make a joke. I'm going to concentrate on my stroke. I'm going to look at the stars. I'm going to look at the blue water. Hopefully, I'm going to see a shark. So it's just a complete positive mindset. And from the beginning to the end, although it was my longest swim, 15 hours, it was just one beautiful swim for me. I remember in the night there was a full moon, and then it became dark, and then a couple of times in the night I could feel something brush against me. You know, sometimes it scares you, but on that swim it was fine. And when I saw the shark in the morning as the light came up, like about 5 k's out, all I thought, I wasn't even scared. I just looked at the shark, and it was a nice big tiger, and I thought, oh, gee whiz, I hope it doesn't come closer, that that we're going to waste time to get to the site. So it wasn't. So sometimes, your mind works and everything is fine. And that is talking about the swims I think that if somebody wants to do these things, it's more of an adventure than trying to tick them off. You must see them as each one, sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't, but even if you don't make it, you get a chance to get to Hawaii, go and explore, go check it out, you see sharks. So that is for me the Hawaii swim.
Okay, so we're running out of time a little bit, but I'll just go. This is your Cook Strait swim. You actually tried. You had another attempt at this, or was it a DNS? I think it was.
I didn't make it the first time. It was a north-south swim. Again, they had a shark sighting, and they told me to swim slower, and in that 15 minutes, I had to wait for the shark to go away. There was I lost another K and a half. That did not finish swim. This swim, they tried they swam from south to north, and that was from left to right. But again, the currents, this is the strait with the most currents and the most difficult currents. But now they've got Philip Rush there, and the guys from what's it called? Jacqueline from GS now. I forgot the outfit's name, but they do the North Channel, and they've started operating here, and they are really, really, really good. So if you don't understand the currents here, you will never be able to cross it. So that was for me the Cook Strait. I eventually, with the help of local skippers and Jacqueline, I managed to do it from the wrong side, as they call it. I think it was the fourth swim from the wrong side, but it works. It's like doing false way from the other side, and suddenly it works.
Yeah. So all right. So this is this year already, and then and then in July, you saved the easier ones to last. I know there's a little bit of current there, but the 14K. 15 to 21 degrees. Yes, quite a lot of maritime traffic. You talked about the fact that the big boats, big ships actually move for you, which might be different to what you see in the English Channel, but as opposed to you having to wait for them to pass, they actually wait for you to pass. So that's kind of interesting. But this really. You said you tried this one 4 times, or you had three opportunities that didn't come to anything, and then you were only able to attempt it on the 4th opportunity that came up because of things like COVID and cancellations and politics and all that sort of thing. So you must have been relieved to finally get there in July.
Yeah, it was. It's actually not a difficult swim at all, but again, maybe I was just lucky on the day. So you can see a little bit of that you can see on the right and on the bottom side. That is the start. That can be rough from time to time, and then from there on, it is fairly okay. Surprisingly, a lot of sea life. We saw dolphins and whales. So for me, it's, again, the interesting thing about this one was that they only do one crossing a day nowadays because of the shipping. And like I said, it's a super regulated swim. So if they allow you to swim, the chances that you're going to make it is really good. They won't go on a bad day like some of the other channels.
And so, so going to the questions now. So thanks to those who put questions down. We'll see how many we can get to in the next few minutes. But is there, if you look back at these swims, is there a different order that you would have done them in? Would you recommend, if you were to sort of think about the Ocean 7, which one should you tick off first? Which one should you go for next, etc.? Or does it not really matter?
It depends on your age. Remember, I'm getting older, and I thought, let me do the most difficult ones earlier in my life, and I'm very, very glad I did that, because I'm not keen to do the North Channel now anymore. So that was, for me, it was like that. Some other people, they will go with the shorter ones and build up experience with time. So the more regulated ones, Gibraltar is not a difficult swim at all. I would compare it to doing a Langebaan Express or something like that. Similar. So it's really not difficult, but it's beautiful. And then this particular order nowadays, I think if you really want to do these things, you need to make your bookings, and that will determine your order. But for me, it's not really, unless there's limitations in terms of your physicality, like in my, like you mentioned, age, or and also remember on the North Sea Channel, I don't know if it's like that anymore now, but you need to get really fat. You need to go to about at least 20% body fat. Otherwise, you won't make it for 12 hours in 12 degrees. So
Sure.
I went to, I think I picked up 10 kg. So I never want to be that fat in my life again. So it's all these things, but the particular order, not really. I think what determines it nowadays is where you can get a slot, and how it fits in with your normal life.
Yeah, Kat's asked a question here. She's just wondering which. It sounds like Tsugaru might be the most expensive one, but which is the most expensive one, and which one is the cheapest one to do? I mean, sorry,
English channel. English channel is the cheapest if you go with Derek, I think, nowadays. Yeah, but he's really become like a star of the English channel. So I think it's quite nice for South African swimmers to do it through him. But so I think English channel is sort of manageable. Strait of Gibraltar is manageable if you can get a swim. The most expensive ones will be Hawaii and the Japanese one, Tsugaru. Tsugaru really is, it's again, you're taking chance up on chance, but the same with Hawaii. I mean, look at Kyron, he's been there 3 times.
Yeah.
And they are expensive.
Yeah. And I mean, for these different swims, was your training schedule and regime different? I mean, with North Sea, I suppose you're putting on weight and stuff, but you're spending a lot more time in the Atlantic Ocean here. Maybe less important for, say, Hawaii. Did you train very differently for each of these swims, or was it more or less the same?
No, it's different. And also, I think as you pick up experience, you change your training regime. So the ideal training way is to do your long sessions, but also do weight training and also do shorter, harder sessions. What's quite interesting, I've been following a lot of swimmers, and Kyron, for his swim on Hawaii, which is the longest one, they just did hard sessions, but what they did is they would do a hard session in the evening, and a hard session in the morning, and a hard session at 12, and a hard session in the evening. So it becomes like a long swim, but in short sessions. So once your mind and your body has got or knows how it feels to swim for 12 hours, I think you can really shorten your training sessions. But saying that, I always believed, for me personally, if I can swim the distance in a week, then I've got enough confidence. Then because again, on all of these swims, things go bad, most of it. And if it goes bad, you must know, and you must be able to have enough confidence and trust your body that you can, even if you push yourself and it feels like you can't do it, to keep on going. So for me, that is a confidence builder if I can swim the distance in a week. For a while, I went up to like 70 Ks a week, which is a lot. I think it's a little bit too much, but for me, it works. And then there's the other side. But the ideal way is to do long distance once or twice a week, break it up with specialized exercises like functional body exercises, and then also the short distances. You need to, otherwise your body gets lazy of just swimming at a certain pace very slowly.
And are you doing pool as well as open water for that?
Sorry?
Is it pool work as well as open water?
Yeah. In the beginning, you must get used to the ocean. For me, it doesn't really matter whether I train in the pool or in the open water. I do feel a difference. Like, for instance, when I go to swim in Langebaan and I've only been training in the pool, I can feel I'm not 100% used to a continuous long swim. But for me, it doesn't matter much anymore. But I think in the beginning, you need to get as comfortable in the open water as you are in the pool. That was in the first years of open water swimming. That was a big thing for me, is to be able to relax in any kind of sea and temperature.
Well, Herman, I think we've come to an end. Thanks. Sorry, I didn't get to everyone's questions, but we ran out of time. Thank you very much for all your insights and sharing with us your brilliant achievements. We're all in awe of what you've achieved. It is, and we're so proud to have so many South Africans in that Ocean 7 list. It's wonderful, and thank you for representing us in that regard. So yeah, thank you very, very much, and thank you for letting us know a little bit more about it. I wonder who we will see next, trying to get through these next seven swims. Last question: what is next for Herman van Westhuizen?
You must ask my wife that question.
Okay.
It's my time now.
Okay.
No, I don't know. You know, I've done this, and it's never been really a mission for me. But on the other hand, it does keep you ticking. So I need something to make me tick. I'm quite enticed by this new thing, the Big Five around the Cape, and maybe the, what do you call it, the Golden Triangle, or what, the one that I still need one, the Golden Key. What is that one in New York that I'm still short of?
The Manhattan swim.
Triple Crown.
Yeah, the
Triple
Crown. That's it. Yeah. So maybe, but you know, nothing pushes me now. I must. You know, one thing I can quickly tell you about doing these things. You know, if you work and you've got a family and you need to train super hard, and I can add that most of the swimmers that do these things nowadays are ex-professional swimmers. They come with big crews and big money and big ships and film crews and things like that. I always felt like, gee, I'm an amateur trying to do these things. But in saying that, is it does take a lot of time. And you know, when you weigh your scale on the one and too much, something drops on the other hand. So I need to get my scale sorted on the other side first now.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for joining this edition of the Cold Water Capers. Thanks also to the producer Monene Murray for putting everything together. It would not be what it is without you. So thank you very, very much for everything you've done there. I don't have any news around what's coming up next, but as usual, you can stay close to your socials and you will hear in time exactly what is coming up next in terms of Cold Water Capers. If you've got any requests, also feel free to send those in, and we will consider them as well. But anyway, thank you everybody. Hope you've had a good evening and found it as entertaining as I have. See you next time.
Yeah, Tom, can I just maybe make a last comment? Sorry, all the recordings in about 2 weeks' time, we'll put this recording of the talk up on our YouTube page. So what you are welcome to do, we've actually put all the previous Cold Water Cape recordings as well as a lot of the other reels up at our YouTube page. You're very welcome to go and refer back to it, because I think there's quite a lot of info to take in. So really welcome to visit these. And as always, as Tom said, any ideas, please let us know what you think would be interesting. And Herman, thank you very much. I know you shared a lot of your information, a lot of time in terms of preparation. Tom, thanks very much for this year as well. This is the last one. So we look forward to seeing you guys next year, probably in about February or so. Great. Have a great evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.